Dear candidates, welcome to this FP live session, online session with IMI Kolkata today. I am Professor Moha Banerjee, Professor in Marketing, and I'm the Chairperson Admissions, Dean Placements, Corporate and Alumni Relations in IMI Kolkata. So we have been interacting, not directly maybe, but with the team over the last couple of months. We have been across venues from January, and it was still March before the national lockdown. Actually, the travel advisories, they started sometime before that. And we had to peg our travels, admission related travels. And since then, we have been interacting intermittently through Skype phone calls, uh, normal calls, and of course, emails. A series of queries have been coming in from diverse locations regarding admission process. Is it still on? We understand the fragmented nature of the process for this year, and hence today's session, where I will try and address as many questions as possible. Some of you have already mailed in your queries, and a few of them are also coming in at this point of time. So for this 1 hour, let us explore as much of IMI Kolkata as we can and answer possible questions. Yes, so the first one that I will be talking about, when will classes start for the PGDM program for this particular year? So, you are all aware of the Ministry of Home Affairs and the AICTE guidelines that are being given across for the B schools. And last date of admission for PGDM, your batch, is July 31, and academic session for your batch is scheduled to start from August 1. So these are the guidelines that AICTE has specified to us. However, from IMI Kolkata, we have decided that we will start with the orientation program from July 27th, that is a Monday, for the enrolled students of PGDM batch 2022. Yes, and prior to that, we will schedule some online classes. So these will primarily be the precursor to the courses, and they will start shortly from the next week, from June 5th. So for 6 weeks for each area. So all the areas, it could be marketing, finance, IT operations, general marketing strategy, OB, HR. So across all these areas, we are looking at doing one class per week for 1.5 to 2 hours. So those are the dates. Of course, mails will be sent across to all of you, before we initiate these sessions. But since we are discussing this today, the online precursor classes will start from June 5th, and the orientation program will start from July 27th. And the academic session, that is your PGDM course, will start from August 1. This is entirely as per AICTE guidelines for this particular year. Yes. So now the next question that I keep getting, will the classes happen in online or in offline mode? Yes, I understand your concern and the consternations that you might be having given this current, national lockdown and this particular situation that we are going through this year. So, to start with, again, I'll give you the regulations and then I'll tell you what IMI Kolkata is doing about it. So, the West Bengal state government has announced that schools, colleges will be closed till June 30th. Yes, and again, we have got notifications from MHRD that institutions will start the sessions in online mode and shift to regular face-to-face mode in due course, as and when the notifications are issued by MHRD and AICTE. Yes, so those being the specifics. Now let us get into IMI Kolkata as a B school and what exactly are we doing? So how are we planning for it? So IMI Kolkata's preparation, yes, virtual classrooms. So we are looking at a blended learning method. So initially, we have now arranged for ourselves Zoom for Education platform, Google Classrooms, that is a part of the G Suite. So we're looking at 300 participants, interacting with them, engaging with them across each of these virtual classroom platforms. Currently, we have also been doing for the past 1 month perhaps webinars. I'm not sure if some of you have attended those webinars. We have been doing them for the student community on Zoom and similar platforms where we had the capacity to reach out to 500 participants. So we are looking at a blended form of learning. That is, we are going to start in the online mode, which would be right from June 5th, the precursor classes that I just mentioned, and we will thereafter take it forward from there. So the approach, the philosophy behind our practices. So the new normal, the vowels of the new normal as they are defined, A, E, I, O, U. It is about adaptability, efficiency, inclusivity, opportunity, and universalism. So we are adapting. It is not that we are going to be strictly totally online, or we have decided it has to be entirely offline and it has to be face to face interaction. Well, modifications are the need of the hour, and as we proceed, keeping in mind the safety concerns of all our stakeholders, our students, our staff, faculty members, everybody in general, and what would be the best foot forward, that is how we are planning to approach this entire process. So we have the infrastructure in place at this point of time. We do have virtual classrooms ready. So what are we going to do? How much, what component of the courses are going to be in the online platform, and what component of the courses are going to be in physical format? So that is something we will evolve on, and those decisions will be taken in due course as and when the restrictions are eased and we get to hear more of the notifications. So it could be, for example, I'm telling you, it could be, one method where we start the topic on the digital mode, and when basic restrictions are removed, we come and do the rest in classrooms. So digital marketing, in the omni-channel space. So that is a concept that has already been around for some time now, right? Where we are blending customer experience, digital applications, and relating them to the physical world. We have already done that before in the marketing space. Now, given COVID-19 and the new methods that are required, new ways of doing things, we are bringing that, we are fast forwarding that perhaps even in the education sector. So this is our way of looking at it. And even when we are thinking of the physical classes starting, so when our students will come down for the physical classes, what we have been planning at this point of time is to go for a 21 days quarantine period where the students will attend the classes from your individual rooms in the hostel. Obviously, you understand the class scheduling will be different in this situation, because even when you come down after the quarantine period, or into the classrooms, so number of students in classroom, that will change because of social distancing. Yes, the norms will have to be maintained. You have to leave one seat next to you between two candidates. So class scheduling is going to be different, of course. But then we have kept all that in mind, and we are working on the infrastructure, the online infrastructure. As I've mentioned, it is already in place, and how we morph, how we transform from one to the other, well, we are equipped for that, but we'll wait, and it will be a wait and watch kind of a situation where you wait to hear about the restrictions, the easement that is being done, and thereafter you decide accordingly. But then again, what we have to our benefit is that the current youth, we know they're most resilient, tech savvy, digital natives. Well, that is looking at you. And so we expect this transformation. It is going to be different. Is it different? Yes, of course, because this is not the way that we have been used to doing things. But are we lost? I mean, do we stop? Definitely not. There are ways to circumvent, to overcome these impediments, these bottlenecks, and that is what we are currently devising at this point of time. So again, the question comes in, are we looking at digital experiences to replace the one-on-one classroom experience? Not really. So some of the fundamental courses, you will find they can be done. I'm not saying that this is what we will do. I'm saying, how are we preparing? How are we looking at the courses? There are some courses that can be done entirely, in the online mode. But then again, there would be some courses which would need some amount of personal interaction. Yes, so for those kind of courses, which would be more statistics oriented or research methodologies, so perhaps the broad based learning could be done in the online mode, and thereafter in smaller groups when the restrictions are eased, the smaller groups could be interacting in the classroom for the hands on experience. Yes. And as far as exams are concerned, we have already explored that, in fact, for a couple of our, interview processes. For PGDM interviews, well, those of you who have been through the process, you already know we are using Moodle online proctoring. So you give exams. There is an option where you have your webcam monitoring you. If you're offloading it to agencies like Mercer Metal, they do the proctoring for you. And as an institute, if you are interested in doing the proctoring yourself, well, then you have the opportunity to proctor the candidates as they are doing the exam. So online exams, apart from PGDM process, we have also used this for our FPM application process. We are using it for that also. So, conducting exams in the online platform, is that a possibility? Most definitely, yes. Okay. So, now I'm moving on to the next question. Um, when will the offline sessions begin for the new batch? And what about MES for maintaining the social distances? I'll take the first one is already answered, I believe, offline session. So at this point of time, we have the dates. We know when we are starting with the program. We know when we are starting with the precursor courses, and when we are going to shift to the offline mode, well, that will depend entirely upon the circumstances prevailing at that point of time. So as soon as the restrictions are eased, as soon as we know we are safe and our students are on campus and they are beyond the quarantine period, we will again, but that will also be a gradual process of getting the students into classrooms, small groups, maintaining social distancing norms under any circumstance, and keeping due cognizance of the safety and security of the students. Yes. Now I'm getting into the next question, which is what about mess, the canteen, for maintaining social distance? Well, again, the guidelines, they always tell you institutions will take precautions to prevent potential spread of COVID to students and staff. That is the guideline, the advisory that has come in from AICTE. So what are we doing? What are our preparations for it? Well, we are looking at single occupancy rooms in the hostel accommodation, even for the boys section at this point of time. So single occupancy rooms for the students. And as I mentioned, the initial classes during the first fortnight or the first 3 weeks, we are thinking of orchestrating that, where you connect to the faculty right from your rooms in a makeshift quarantine period, and once everybody is safe, then you come to the classrooms. And but then what about the eating provisions, the canteen seats? What are we doing about that? Well, canteen seats will also maintain social distancing, and the food timings, in the canteen, they also will be staggered. So basically, what does that mean? When we are going to stagger the food timings in the canteen area, you will come down, you will be allocated your food timings, and the students will come down in small groups and eat in the canteen, and this entire process will be monitored. Of course, we have a robust and well equipped administration team who are going to monitor that. But having said that, we will depend upon you being adults also the norms that will be set, we expect our students to follow them, because, well, it's almost cliche when, as a faculty, we say it's for your own good. But then systems are in place, the norms are in place. From our side, from the institute side, we will look at monitoring them. At the same time, we will expect the students to be more conducive and acceptable of these norms and follow. Compliance is something that we will look forward to. I have also got a couple of queries on fees. So fee structures and how are they going to be for this particular year. So for those of the candidates who have already enrolled with the PGDM program of IMI Kolkata, I am sure you have got the mail that we have sent across, where there has been a revision in the fee structure, and the fees have been rolled back for this year, that is 2021, to that of the previous year, 1920, due to COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent national lockdown. So again, this is in line with the AICTE guidelines. And I have also got questions on hostel fees, hostel charges. Well, they remain the same. Hostel charges remain the same, and fees for the next year, at this point of time, as we are looking at it, they are not affected. The communication that we have made and the decision that has been conveyed to you is the rollback of the year fees for the year 2020 to that of the previous year, 1920. Now, did this lockdown affect internships in IMI Kolkata? Yes, this will take some sharing of information, and I look forward to doing that with you now. So what happened? I'll give you a step-by-step recount of how things moved for us. So internships, all our students, we knew all companies were set for our entire batch of 187 first year students on campus. So we knew that they were going to join from 1st April their respective companies, and internships in IMI Kolkata, they are Pan India. So, and then March happened, and we started getting the advisories, and the restrictions started coming in. So that point of time, when we started talking to the company HR departments, we realized they are very busy resolving how to sustain day-to-day functioning with work from home protocols for their own staff. So they needed to put their shop together in place first. So planning for the summer internships to work on projects, they said they could do that only when they had reached some amount of stability from their end. So that was the first situation that we encountered. So we have a dedicated placement office. There is a dedicated placement team, and we have a general manager who is amply assisted with the administrative staff from placement office. So they regularly kept in touch with the companies, and as soon as we came to know that this is the situation, we did not want the students to sit idle or have nothing to do till the company says, okay, so this is your project, and this is the point of time when you are going to start work. So the academic council in IMI Kolkata, so as faculty team, what did we do? We looked at the student profiles, we looked at the companies they were doing their internships, and the students were assigned short-term projects. Okay, till of such time, they would be called back by their companies. So this was to engage them during this crisis period, and the topics that they were given were entirely at par with the sectors that they would be joining. Absolutely real-time, ground-oriented projects. So those were the projects that were given to them. And once the students started working, they were allocated these projects along with a faculty mentor for each student. So from the placement office, they shared all these project details with the respective companies, and vice versa. So once the respective HR heads were shown, okay, so these are the set of boys and girls who were to intern with you, and till you get back to us, so they are currently working on these projects. So HR heads have been asked to provide any suggestion or feedback, any tweaking of the project line maybe that they would want. So wherever they have made any suggestions or any feedback, it has been conveyed back to the students and the faculty. And gradually, so it again has been a very staggered approach, because if I have to give names for this particular year, there has been JSW, Gladys Global, Max Life, Tata Steel, these companies gradually in a phased manner, not all at the same point of time, because for the simple reason that they're not in the same city too, for that matter. And they started rolling out virtual internships for the students. So the internships happened from the company. So the students, what did they do? As soon as they got the company projects, they concluded the projects that they were doing in the interim period, submitted it to the faculty members, and embarked on this new project that they are doing for the industry. So now they are in varying phases. As we talk about it, they are in varying phases of progression in these particular projects. And at this point of time, most of the students have gone into this virtual mode. So if I'm going to tell you something more about this virtual internship, what does that mean? I'm sure you will be having some queries, because I've even encountered this question: is a virtual internship can it totally substitute, on the ground internship? Well, to answer that query, let us be practical. So there are some internships that can be done from the confines of an office space, or the confines of a room, where you have access to maybe databases, you have to the intranet, you can do some remote access, and you can work on those projects. So those would be typically analytical, digital marketing, branding communication pieces. So these kind of projects are where this would be possible. However, if I am talking about a factory site, operations in a factory, and manufacturing processes, so without because you understand, due to the sensitive nature, I may not be able to give out the company name, but we have experienced this with one of our topmost recruiters. So till last year, the internship profiles that would come in, they would be based on their sites, their factory sites, and improve turnaround, improve productivity at those factories. Now, at this point of time, the same company, when they have shifted into the virtual mode this year, they have offered the candidates projects on brand building for that particular brand. So there is some merger and acquisition also happening for that company, and how better can they handle the branding piece, as in the customer perception that has happened before, and how can they work on that, how can they improve that. So that has been the project details for this particular year. So I hope I have been able to convey the point. See, as I mentioned, it is about being agile, it is about being flexible. So, to answer the question, are we dispensing with internships? No, of course not. It is a 6 credit full-time 6 credit course equivalent in IMI Kolkata, and due diligence, due rigor has to be given to that. There is no way that you can dispense internship in a B-school setting. Then what is changing? What has transformed, what has morphed is the way companies are looking at it, and the kind of profiles they are coming up with, the kind of projects. As I mentioned, a manufacturing concern this year has offered a virtual internship in branding, in the branding space. So that is going to change. And from our side, when we talk of agility, what do we mean by agility, flexibility, the intangible spaces that I am talking about now? It means that when you get these opportunities, you are receptive to them, you are open-minded, you embrace them, and you make the most of that given opportunity, because as far as their process is concerned, the evaluation process is going to be just the same. They have assigned an industry mentor. The student is working on it. There has been a midterm evaluation. There will be a final evaluation where again the CXO level suits, the executives will be attending to it, and they will be evaluating you. So nothing changes as far as the process goes, as far as the evaluation bit goes, as far as the brand goes. What changes is the profile and the context of work, the job space, the job scope. And when I'm talking about flexibility, agility, receptiveness from the B school perspective, from faculty and from the candidates, it means that you can have some preconceived notions, but at the same time, you should be open and receptive to morphing to these changing environments. Yes. So I think that addresses your summer internship query. And now I'll move on to the next question, which is which stream will you prefer more to? Will you prefer? Okay, which stream will you recommend to upcoming MBA aspirants? I believe that is the question that you have here. Which stream? Uh, again, I'll go back a bit, before I answer this particular question. So when I'm talking about streams, it is not one at the exclusion to the other. You understand, in a B school setting, it is about giving you domain specific knowledge. And when I'm talking about domain, it is about the functional skill sets, developing the functional skill sets for the students. Yes. So that is, and how we go about it. Let me tell you a bit about that also. Before I answer this question, it will be easier for you to understand. So typically what we do in RMI Kolkata, first year, we don't ask you to indicate at the outset, do you want to get into marketing or do you want to get into HR or operations at the outset. No, we don't ask you to do that. Why? Because the way we look at courses, it is going to be, and I'm sure other B schools also for that matter. Today I'm talking for RMI Kolkata, so I'm referring to RMI Kolkata more often. So what we do and how we differ from the stoic university way of doing things is, in a B school we are more practice oriented. So in a university setting, you will focus more upon the theoretical concepts, yes, and they will be infused with examples from the industry. And when you go down to the workspace, you are expected to translate these learnings on your own. In a B school setting, how this changes is, across all the courses, all the areas, there are cases, there are situations that are identified. Yes, those are the ones that are brought into the classroom, and there you discuss that. You try to understand the context in which this particular situation developed, and then you use the theoretical concepts, yes, to take decisions, to solve the problems, to come up with some new solution that might be developed to address a pre-existing problem. Yes, so that is how you do things fundamentally different in B school. And in RMI Kolkata, that is why first year we tell you, go through this entire plethora of courses that are there. Yes, in the first year. Because we have seen that students, when they go through this kind of case based, project based, so for example, for my courses in marketing, 40% of the component, evaluation component, is on your project. Yes, and well, the other 60, well, it will comprise of your written assignments, some of your critical thinking, some quizzes, so some classroom participation. So all that will be another 60%. Of course, each faculty, they have the freedom to tweak this as per their requirement of the course. So we have seen that when students they go through, acclimatize themselves through this kind of learning, we find that their preferences change. So if you thought that I have been a core marketing person, suddenly you may feel, no, I think I would want to explore a bit of IT operations. Also, I want to get into strategy. I want to get into general management, those that open up the consulting profiles. So consultancy profiles. So first year, we let them be. We just ask you to give us two broad areas for your internships. Why? So that when the companies start coming to campus, we will expose those candidates accordingly to the profiles, to the areas that are being offered by the companies. Why do we ask two? Well, two, predominantly to increase your chances. So, example, HR, you want HR. We'll say, okay, don't just say, I want to do only HR or none at all. So, HR, we would say, give us an option two, which would be perhaps marketing or finance. So what happens? Your scope as a candidate goes up. So when HR companies come in, you sit for those set of companies, and should you not make it, should you not be able to convert it? When I say make it, I mean you are not able to convert the offer. So when marketing companies come in, you have the opportunity to sit for those set of companies also. Yeah, so that is why we ask for two areas. And at the end of the first year, that is the point of time we ask you to tell us, okay, now that you have been through it all, you have been through finance. Okay, again, finance, I know, some engineering students who are perhaps, well, the term for it would be mortally petrified of accounts. Let me assure you at this point of time, that should not be the case. Why? Because in a B school setting, we will ask you to look at financial statements. Take, for example, a balance sheet. And we want you to be able to read the balance sheet, make some deductions about the financial health of the company. So we don't need you to sit and compute, okay, how to write the journal, how to draw up the trading account, what items are going to get into the debit side or credit side of your PL, profit and loss account. We don't need you to do that, right? So that is, so we will need you to read the balance sheet and take some decisions based on what you are reading in the balance sheet. So this is the situation that you will typically face in the entire duration of your first year. And at this point of time, towards the end, when you have been through this form of learning, we will ask you indicate your specializations. Now in IMI Kolkata, we encourage dual specialization. So I will, explain each term that I have uttered at this point of time. We encourage, number one, encourage, and number two is dual specialization. So what exactly are dual specializations? You have 12 courses that you have to take. First year, you don't have any option, everything is compulsory. Second year, well, that is the point of time you will get options and you have to choose 12 courses. So what are you going to do? This is the point of time you can choose maybe 6 from one particular area. HR example. So, or maybe I've taken the HR example once too often. Let us go give it a finance marketing example. So we encourage the students to take 6 courses from the finance area, and another 6 courses we would say take it from any other particular area. It could be operations, it could be marketing. So if a candidate, for example's sake, has taken finance and marketing under the dual specialization context, what exactly is going to happen? When the finance set of companies come onto campus, the candidates can sit for final placement interviews for those set of companies. At the same time, when marketing companies come on campus, you get the opportunity to sit for the marketing profile based companies also. It's just not putting all your eggs in one basket. It's about giving yourself more number of opportunities. So that is the fundamental behind doing dual specializations. So these were the streams, the courses that I just addressed. Now, in this particular situation, so you understand, each area is going to be fundamentally different. If we're looking at finance, we're looking at financial aspects, identifying, the risk profiles of the companies, or maybe just being able to spell out the financial health of the company. If it is marketing, well, then it will be about branding, about customer relations, it could be retailing, it could be ensuring the distribution setup. If it is HR, it could be, recruitment, planning, selection, HR analytics. It could be any of that. So. It's not to say, okay, so COVID has happened and suddenly distribution is not important anymore, or suddenly, finance as a profile is not important anymore. So our advice to you would be from IMI Kolkata: keep your stream options open at this point of time. Go through the process that I have just delineated for you, and use that same method for deciding your streams. Because what will change? It is not suddenly a stream will become redundant after COVID, and a stream will suddenly become very important after COVID. What will change is the aspects, how you approach those particular streams. So the faculty members, they are working on it at this point of time to ensure that the courses, the components have more of problem solving capability, design thinking skill sets, cognitive skill sets across each of these fundamental areas. So the idea is to train the students to become innovation ambassadors. Whatever be the stream that you are taking in, you should be able to develop problem solving capability, to be, hone yourself some decision making skills, doing, because we are always talking about the new normal. So design thinking, exact situation, new changes have come in which we were not prepared for before, and come up with a new method of thinking, a new method of working, so that it does not hamper the placement aspects, the placement opportunities. Yes. Now, moving on to, I hope this is answering your queries to a certain extent. I will get back also. Once I'm done with these set of questions, I will see the new set of questions that have been coming in at this point of time. Yes. Uh, okay, since I have been mentioning hostels, I'll take this question now. What about girls, boys hostel for projects and all? If you have been to IMI Kolkata previously at any point of time, or you have been interacting with our alumni, you understand the girls and the boys hostel, they are just two separate wings. So there's a boys hostel block and a girls hostel block. And at any point of time, there has not been any restriction for movement, as in girls do not go into the boys hostel and boys do not get into the girls hostel. Of course, there are certain norms, as in I believe 11 o'clock, those specifics you can get in closer, to the time when you are getting into IMI, when for safety purpose, security purpose, students are encouraged to get back to campus, not stay outside campus gates. There are, of course, certain safety and security norms. But having said that, yes, girls and boys for projects, they do work with each other in groups in one particular room. And apart from that, we also, each particular floor has a lounge area. So what I propose to do, perhaps we will share with you, all of you, the video of the hostel infrastructure, where you can actually see the particular lounge that I'm talking about, because all the clubs and committees, when they are doing the work, and most of it happens, after class hours, after 6 o'clock in the evenings. So for the common ground, the common meeting ground, more often than not, we see them throng into the lounge spaces where they're working with their laptops well into the wee hours of the night in the morning. And the library during exam time, or when the project submission dates come in, so that is the point of time, we also have these kind of situations where the library is open for the students to sit and do their project work. Yes. So just to say that are we keeping our girls and boys? I'm going through the question once again. Are we keeping them in operational silos? No, not really. There is no such silo system for safety security. We do have the individual hostel rooms, but for projects and for interaction beyond projects, for clubs, committee work that you do, yes, you can work together in a common room, in a student's room, in a lounge area, and for academic purposes, it could also be the library, which is again the academic block, which is distinct from the hostel block. Yes. Now, yeah, there has been another question. When the list of the students selected for tuition fee waiver will be announced? Okay, so this we expect to get back to you by the second week of July, when we will announce the students who have been granted the tuition fee waivers based on the documents that you have already submitted to RMI Kolkata. Yes. Now I'll come back to, yes, a major question, and I do understand and appreciate the fact that quite a lot of questions have come in regarding placements. I'll just take one and elaborate on that as much as I can. So, will I be getting good opportunities if I do MBA in finance from RMI Kolkata? And what are the companies visiting the college for finance related jobs? Okay, so individually, I'll try and address both. First, let me tell you about the situation this particular year. Uh, we have been regularly in touch with our recruiters. Until date, our recruiters, not one of our recruiters, have actually revoked any offer that has been made to our student. Yes, so I'm talking exclusively for RMI Kolkata, not any generic random comment about these schools in general. Yes, so well, we have been concerned about when you read the papers and you read top recruiters doing it, and let us not get into names, please, on this platform. And you come across business papers and professional networking platforms where you hear that offers have been revoked. From our side, what has been RMI Kolkata strategy? Well, our strategy has been to minimize. We have wanted to avoid minimizing this revoking of the placement offers that have been made to the students. Even deferring joining dates is preferable to us. So you want to postpone the joining date, which is perfectly fine. We understand these are trying times, unprecedented times, and so these variances are expected to be there. So yes, deferring joining dates, obviously that has happened, but again I reiterate this point that till date we have not had a single instance of job offers that were made in RMI Kolkata have actually been revoked. And if I may add to that, our legacy recruiters, some of them, PwC, Amazon, Marico, Global Data, they have already onboarded, I believe, 28 students at this point of time. They've all virtually onboarding has been done in the respective organizations for the companies that I have just mentioned. So if that is what is about the year that has been, going forward, what do we expect? And in RMI Kolkata, how are we looking at placements? This is, and specifically, instead of being generic, I will talk with reference to the finance area. So, what is our strategy? I'm trying to answer that now. So we have looked at it, from four aspects, four particular main points that we are focusing on for the year that will be. Yes. So let us be very pragmatic. Very few recruiters are planning to give PPOs, the pre-placement offers, this particular year. Pre-placement offers meaning you do your internship work and they observe you very closely, they evaluate you, and based on your performance, and of course the organization as a policy must have it that they extend PPOs. So that is the point of time they give PPOs to the students. So this particular year, we are not expecting, given COVID and the economy, the specifics that have been talked about all over, we are expecting very few recruiters. I mean, other than one or two of our legacy recruiters, we are not expecting any major PPOs coming into campus. So what does that mean for us? This is our strategy number one. So for a particular situation, for a particular set of profiles, if we were calling 10 recruiters, we understand that we have to call 50 recruiters for that particular profile. So for similar intakes, similar number of intakes. So the outreach has to be enhanced. Okay, further outreach has to be made, specific profile based outreaches. So that is strategy number one, increase outreach. Number two, retaining existing recruiters. Well, again, from placement office, we also engage heavily with corporate relations, building corporate relations. Every year we have been doing, converse. So that is our kind of corporate connect, corporate engagement initiative. It is a 3-day kind of a management fest where till last year we would have them coming down to our campus, recruiters pan India. We invite them and we have these kind of sessions. It is a two-way relationship kind of thing. So because our students, they get to hear from the CEOs, from the CXOs across diversified profiles. So we invite them to our campus and give our students the opportunity to hear it directly from them. What are their expectations from the students and how the students can best prepare for the industry. And at the same time, it gives the recruiters an opportunity to see our quality of students, meet our faculty, the kind of work that we do, gauge the intellectual levels of our students, bring them one step closer towards exploring IMI Kolkata as an option for future job opportunities. Yes, so till last year we have been doing this on a physical platform. This year again, as I said, the options. One, that we do it, in a webinar-based kind of a virtual setting, and but then we want to give some time before we take this decision, because if we want to see if things get eased out, perhaps around November, December, and maintaining social distancing norms, it is possible to get some recruiters on campus. We would then explore the opportunity of doing it in the physical form. But as I said, that decision, the activity, is it going to happen? Yes. The form in which it will happen, decision will be taken closer to the date based on the existing opportunities, constraints that are there up and about at that point of time. Yes, so that is what we will do. Retain existing recruiters, corporate, and we also invite them over for guest lecture sessions, industry guest lectures, industry visits. So take the students in small batches. Sometimes it would be, to see the back-end operations, maybe a retailer's collection center, how the sourcing happens from the farm to fork. We talk about the farm to fork value chain. What exactly does it entail? What are the operational aspects of it? It might be glamorous, when you kind of use these cliche terms, farm to fork. But how glamorous is it on the field? Well, when you are in a B school setting, you have to be there and see it for yourself. So those are some of the initiatives that we take for retaining our existing recruiters. Now, strategy number 3, the third point that we want to take for placements for this particular year is explore new recruiters. So what are we going to do when we explore new recruiters? This time we are really looking forward to engaging or building connect with some high-end profiles, investment banking. Some of our alumni, you understand, our first batch of students passed out in 2013, and they are in the industry for 7 years at this point of time, and some of them are already there with investment banking organizations, companies. So we are looking at building on these existing relationships with our alumni members, and we want to get high-end profiles from the company. I'll give you an example. Because BFSI, when we talk about the BFSI sector, so typically the profiles that come in have been coming in till maybe 1 year back, they were the relationship manager profiles where packages come in typically 6 to 6.5 lakhs, HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, ICICI Life Insurance. But these are the recruiters who offer these kind of profiles. Now we are looking at BFSI sector, but perhaps getting into wealth management area. So how do you get access to these profiles? Number one, the organization has to have a requirement, that is they must also have these openings. And for these kind of profiles, well, obviously you understand there may be X number of students in a particular specialization. For these kind of profiles, for high-end profiles, it has to be the commensurate students, who are a segment, who are a part of that particular specialization. So those kind of, well, if it is a deserving candidate and who has got the mettle, who has got the wherewithal, whose past experience, academics, etc., qualify, match with that of these companies, and what is expected for investment banking, risk analysis for these kind of profiles. We are going to take the initiative to expose these set of candidates for those kind of profiles. It would be sort of matching, a mix and matching kind of a particular situation. And so again, the next reaction could be, oh, you're building castles in the air. Not really. I'll tell you why. Because if I mentioned a while back, I mentioned that till the last 1 year. So I would want to see the entire placement report is there on the website. You can look up the report. The purpose of me sitting here is not to reiterate all that information that is already there. I want to tell you the strategy, our philosophy, our way of thinking, and how we want to push RMI Kolkata a few notches up. And while we are doing that, do some value addition to the students who reinstate their faith in us and who are a part of our ecosystem. So when I'm talking about going up the ladder, so the BFSI segments that have been offered on our campus has been skewed towards the 9 lakhs packages. And if I'm going to give you names of a few of these companies, HDFC Life, then South Indian Bank, the South Indian Bank has offered 9.9 lakhs packages. Federal Bank, they're offering 9.75 lakhs. So what are the profiles that they offer with commensurate to these kind of packages? It's the high net worth individuals, high net worth customers, and or the business accounts, business organizations. So that would be them at the front end, and at the back end it would be about creating digital marketing content, etc. So these are the kind of profiles that have come in last year. And these are the packages, and I'm also giving you the names of in the finance sector, because the question was on finance sector. I'm elaborating on the finance sector at this point of time. So Bajaj Alliance also has been there at 8.7 lakhs, and Edelweiss Tokyo, they offer up to 9 lakhs package, yes, in the finance segment. So the point that I'm saying is, while generic offerings may be for relationship managers 6.5 to 6.57 6.57 being the average packages from one set of companies this particular year. So they have explored a few of the deserving candidates, and these are the 9 lakhs and upward of 9 lakhs, or around 9 lakhs. These are the packages and the profiles that have been offered by those companies that I have just mentioned at this particular point. So I also had I would ask you, so for those who have specific queries, across functional areas, as in what is there for HR, what is there for operations, you could look up the website, and something similar analysis I am sure is already conveyed. That will be depicted through the form of graphs and charts, and I have given you, paraphrasing of the finance sector for your understanding today. Yes. Now, a note of concern here. HR jobs. I do get this question, and I tell our students when they come into campus. And well, as a B school perspective, this is not something that is exclusive to IMI Kolkata. This is for B schools in general. I hope you understand that HR, and this has got nothing to do with COVID or pre-COVID, post-COVID. It's a general trend that HR jobs are few and far in between as compared to the other profiles that I have just mentioned. So if you have industry experience or working with the industry, you will see that the people who are there at the ED, executive director, at very senior levels. When you talk to them, you ask them how they started in the organization. Seldom will you find somebody who joined as HR and is now currently performing as an ED or a VP HR of a particular organization, because the organizations prefer getting in executives from other functional areas, business development, or marketing and sales. And again, I would not, because it's an open platform and in a virtual space, so I will not get into any calling out names at this point of time, but this is our understanding as a B school, and you can check with anybody for that matter. You will get a similar line of thought, similar perspective. So what these organizations do is that they prefer to take people from these business development and functional areas. Why? Because they say, this same HR person who is now an ED, and he said that when this happened to me, the reason for it was because the organizations prefer to have somebody as the HR who has a very good understanding of the sector, of the people in the sector, and how that entire sector works. So again, on an anecdotal note, of course, we are not talking statistics. This was FMCG durables. Yes, so this was a battery company, and again, this very senior HR. So he said when he started his job as business development, his job, he was asked that you accompany this particular person on a field trip, and he said, what was I doing in rural part of India? I was carrying this battery and on a bike, pillion driving, and moving with him, through his various activities during the day. So later on, when he came back to office, and he said, okay, so why did you ask me to do that? So then he said, you said you have an affinity to HR, you want to get into HR. How do you expect to draw up, the incentives that should be payable to a person if you do not know what a typical day in the life of that person is? So this is not my story. I am sharing with you a story of an industry executive HR executive director in a particular segment. And so why I am telling you this is it would do you some good. Well, in IMI Kolkata, yes, currently I have my alumni who is in Genpact as a senior HR and working from Gurgaon. So we do have HR profiles, and our student, then again, I have one in microfinance, my alumni who is working there, and very well, now they're getting into B school campus recruitment. So we do get these profiles, but if you are asking me to compare how many of HR profiles vis-a-vis how many in marketing and finance, it wouldn't measure up. It would be much less and far in between. So hence, a couple of 15-20 minutes back when I told you about dual specialization, that was the reason. Keep your mind open, keep your options open. You need to be open-minded. End of the day, guys, it's about building your careers. Okay, so you want to get into HR, whether you start in HR or whether you get into some other segment, and thereafter all these people that I have given you examples, all of them exhibited some people skills, some emotional EQ skill sets, some some functional knowledge that they had in these particular areas, basis which their organizations drew them into HR at a much senior level. Okay, so but they didn't start their careers with HR. So the options are always there. Okay, look at a B school setting as a platform, yes, to guide you, to handhold you, to provide you with opportunities. how much of it are you going to take, and how are you going to develop yourself from thereafter, will actually finally define your career progression and your growth trajectory in any organization. Yes. So, moving on, I'll look at some more questions. I have one from a candidate who's given his or her, I wouldn't know, father's income, and you're looking at tuition fee waiver. I think we've already addressed this. When if you have qualified, if you have cleared the admission interview process and the offer has already been made to you, check your mail. If you are eligible for the tuition fee waiver, the documents have also been sent across to you. If not, feel free to get in touch with our admission office, who will share the documents with you all over again. And you need to apply as per that. And so get in touch and email the documents back to admission office. Yes, so I would advise you to get in touch with admission office right away for that. Then, is there any WhatsApp group where the people of our batch can connect? Yes, there is. But then again, I believe this WhatsApp group is for bona fide students who have already converted and who are registered and enrolled with Alumni Kolkata as a student. I believe there is a procedure where you have to show the money receipt, or and after which your number is will be incorporated in the group. There is a procedure. Again, I would request you to get in touch with admission office, and they'll guide you on how to go about it. And I have questions on GDPI in Alumni Kolkata. Yes, I understand that. Well, this year there have been a couple of misses, many missed application deadlines. Candidates could not apply because of the lockdown and what it entailed. And from our side in Alumni Kolkata, we couldn't be there in all venues because of the traveling restrictions. I believe March 6th to 8th, perhaps, that was the last venue that we did in Varanasi. And after that, we had to put an unceremonious stop to our, interview travel. So we missed out on some major venues like Bangalore, Hyderabad, etc. But let's not go there. We are trying to compensate for that. So how are we going about it is the process. We are reiterating the process. We are churning our data sets and looking at applicants, lest we have missed any. We definitely want to ensure that we have at least given an opportunity, provided an opportunity to all, and we have talked to you at least once in between. And so we are taking Skype interviews. I believe there is one scheduled for June 2nd also. So if you have not yet been a part of this process, and you are in this FB online session, because the question tells me that you are such, when is the GDPI? So you need to get in touch with admission office pronto, because to the best of my knowledge, June 2nd June is the next prospective date for the interview process. But then there also be the written evaluation test also. Admission office, they are the best people to guide you on that front, the commensurate dates for all these evaluation components. Now, yes, I have something from a question on Quora, negative responses from Quora. We are aware. Incidentally, we have a social media club and our students who actively monitor that, and we are regularly apprised, of the comments, etc., that come in. Again, it's about social media, guys, and to best answer this question, I would tell you, have you checked? All of them are anonymous queries. So, as an institute, we really do not consider it necessary to respond to any anonymous response. Yes, any anonymous comment, feedback, negative, positive for that matter, we just let it be. We ignore that. If there is a genuine grievance, come to us, talk to us, tell us what is the specific issue. and we will be able, like, we are not portraying ourselves as holier than thou, kind of an image. So if I have these in finance and what I don't have in HR over the and I've already touched 1 hour. So in 1 hour I could do just much. I could do this amount of sharing with you. So we'll come and tell you exactly who we are, what we do, and we'll tell you how best to, because end of the day, guys, we are faculty from the teaching community, and the students' well-being will always be prime most concern for us. So we'll tell you, guide you how to go about your careers. So, but then you have to come out to us with specific, genuine responses, genuine positive criticisms, genuine feedback, genuine queries. Anything that is anonymously put out in a digital space, and yes, we need not get into nomenclatures or the exact nature, but I'm sure we've read that, right, somewhere. Terminology, very offending terminology like mujahideen, etc. I've come across that. Sometimes are we tapping really in this kind of, when we are on Zoom platforms, when we are on online platforms, and the entire campus is Wi-Fi enabled. Yes, we are going to monitor an individual student, candidate, keeping tabs on whom are they sending mails to, etc. I mean, this we if you do not find us negating these responses on Quora, it is because we choose not to. Yes, and as you are also an adult and a sensible candidate contemplating management education, I would leave you with this thought. If you have a genuine concern, reach out to us, send us your query, contact admission office, we will get back to you. But anonymous, frivolous, these kind of comments, we just let them be. We ignore them, and we would ask you also not to read too much into them when they are such, as I've mentioned, such frivolous in their nature. Yes. So with this, regarding the online classes that are going to be held, I'll rephrase gonna with going to be, given the faculty streak in me. How will we be notified about the class schedule and timings? Yes, dear students, you will obviously be mailed across all the queries, all the schedule slots will be mailed across to you. And don't worry, it is our responsibility to ensure that the information is properly disseminated to you guys. Today we are in a discussion format, and I have been sharing with you on a platform, on a virtual platform, our thought process, our philosophy, and how are we looking at, how are we even contemplating, tiding over this particular new normal, new emergency kind of a situation, and making it an inherent and intrinsic part of our lives, and trying to look at normalcy, restore normalcy. So the online classes will start from June 5, and the entire schedule, links, building the liaison, the first integration with faculty, admission team. You have been interacting with Porobi ma'am and Sneha ma'am, Piali ma'am at regular intervals. From them and from my side, we will be hand-holding you through the process, and that is how we will take it on from here. And so, yes, I think we have come to the end of this session, and with this, I will call this session to an end. And well, it has been wonderful interacting with you and sharing some of the queries, concerns that have been coming up consistently, intermittently. And we look forward to seeing you on our campus, virtual or in physical form. And we look forward to engaging with you shortly in the near future. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe. Be good. From all of us in AMAC Kolkata. Bye.